Rome in the 1700s. AI Reconstruction. Rome in the 1700s was a city caught between its glorious past and an uncertain future. With a population hovering around 160,000, it was no longer the empire's capital, but it remained the spiritual heart of the Catholic world and a magnet for artists, scholars, and pilgrims from across Europe. The ancient ruins stood beside Baroque churches, and narrow medieval streets wound through neighborhoods where cardinals, beggars, and foreign visitors all jostled for space. In this video, I use modern AI tools to bring historic paintings, engravings, and prints to life, allowing us to shift perspective, change camera angles, and move through the same scenes in ways their original artists never could. First, I want to talk about the Piazza di Spagna and the Spanish Steps. This view shows the Piazza di Spagna in the early 1700s. By 1725, the newly completed Spanish Steps rose in elegant cascades from the piazza below up to the Church of Trinita dei Monti perched above. The travertine stone gleamed white in the Roman sun, and the steps themselves became an instant landmark. In the foreground, you see flower sellers arranging bouquets at the base, their bright petals splashing color against the pale stone. Foreign travelers in wide-brimmed hats pause to sketch the scene, while local women balance water jugs on their heads as they climb. The air smells of jasmine and dust, but the beauty masked tension. The area was a haven for pickpockets and beggars who preyed on distracted tourists. Street fights occasionally broke out between rival groups of artists competing for commissions. The papal police patrolled regularly, clubs in hand, ready to crack down on disorder. This piazza mattered because it was the gateway to Rome's artistic quarter and a symbol of French and Spanish rivalry. The steps were funded by a French diplomat but named for the Spanish embassy below. By the late 1700s, the area became even more crowded as the Grand Tour peaked, and artists like John Keats would later live and die in the house beside the steps. Today, this same spot is one of the most photographed locations in Rome, still swarming with visitors, still lined with flowers. This is the Trevi Fountain, taking shape in the mid-1700s. By 1762, the Trevi Fountain was completed under Pope Clement XIII, transforming a modest water outlet into the city's most dramatic Baroque spectacle. This view shows the massive marble figures of Oceanus and his tritons surging from the facade of Palazzo Palli, water thundering into the basin below. In the foreground, children splash at the edge while servants fill leather buckets. This was still a working water source. The roar of the fountain drowns out conversation. The smell of whetstone mixes with the sweat of the crowd pressed into the tiny piazza. But tensions simmered. The neighborhood was cramped, and residents complained about the noise, the tourists, and the constant dampness that rotted their walls. Drunken brawls erupted near the fountain at night, and the papal guards had to clear the area after dark. This fountain mattered because it was the endpoint of the ancient Aqua Virgo aqueduct, restored to bring clean water to the heart of Rome, and it became a powerful symbol of papal ambition and artistic genius. Today, the Trevi Fountain remains almost unchanged, still fed by the same aqueduct, still packed with coin-tossing crowds. This view shows the Pantheon and the surrounding piazza in the early 1700s. By the 1700s, the Pantheon had stood for over 1,500 years, its massive concrete dome still the largest unreinforced dome in the world. The building had been consecrated as a church in 609 AD, and it remained a functioning parish. This view shows the portico's towering Corinthian columns, the bronze doors open to reveal the dim interior beyond. In the mid-ground, market stalls cluster against the Pantheon's outer walls. Vendors selling candles, rosaries, roasted chestnuts. Pilgrims kneel on the worn marble floor inside, while sunlight pours through the oculus above, illuminating the dust in the air. The smell of incense and wax mingles with the sharper scent of animals from the nearby market. But danger lurked. The building's ancient structure required constant maintenance, and chunks of plaster occasionally fell from the dome, injuring visitors below. Pickpockets worked the crowds during services, and beggars pressed close to anyone who looked wealthy. The Pantheon mattered because it was proof that Roman engineering had once surpassed anything modern Europe could achieve, and it served as both a humbling reminder and a source of inspiration for architects from across the continent. Today, the Pantheon stands in a cleared piazza, still intact, still awe-inspiring, still open to the sky. This is the Roman Forum in the mid-1700s, known then as the Campo Vaccino. By the 1750s, the once mighty political heart of ancient Rome had become a cow pasture. This view shows the Forum from the Capitoline Hill, looking down over broken columns half buried in dirt, arches rising from fields where cattle graze. In the foreground, shepherds lean on their staffs, watching their herds wander among marble fragments. The skyline is punctuated by the Arch of Septimius Severus and the three standing columns of the Temple of Castor and Pollux. The air is thick with the smell of manure and wild fennel. Artists set up easels to paint the ruins, while local guides spin exaggerated tales for gullible foreigners. But tension existed even here. Treasure hunters dug illegally at night, searching for statues and coins to sell. Arguments erupted over grazing rights, and occasionally livestock fell into hidden chambers beneath the ground. This area mattered because it symbolized the rise and fall of empires. These ruins were both a warning and a wonder. Today, the Forum has been cleared and partially restored, a sprawling archaeological park where millions walk among the same columns and arches. This view shows the Tiber Island and the Ponte Fabricio in the early 1700s. By 1700, the Ponte Fabricio, built in 62 BC, was still the oldest functioning bridge in Rome, connecting the city to the small Tiber Island in the middle of the river. This view shows the elegant stone arches reflected in the muddy water below. On the island, the Church of San Bartolomeo stands beside the Hospital of Fate Benefratelli, where monks tended to the sick and dying. In the foreground, fishermen pull nets from the Tiber, sorting their meager catch. The river was polluted and overfished, but it was still a food source for the poor. Laundresses kneel on the banks, scrubbing linens and slapping them against the rocks. The smell of the river is rank, especially in summer, but danger was constant. The Tiber flooded regularly, and every few years the water surged over the island, destroying homes and drowning those who couldn't escape. Disease spread easily in the hospital's cramped wards, and the island was seen as a place of last resort. This island mattered because it had been sacred to healing since Roman times. Legend said a temple to Aesculapius once stood here, and the tradition continued through the centuries. By the late 1700s, embankments were strengthened to control flooding. Remarkably, this is a site you can still visit today. The Ponte Fabricio still carries pedestrians, and the hospital still operates on the island. This is Piazza Navona in the mid-1700s, during one of its famous water festivals. By the 1750s, Piazza Navona was the social heart of Baroque Rome, built atop the ruins of the ancient Stadium of Domitian. This view shows Bernini's Fountain of the Four Rivers dominating the center, its marble giants representing the Nile, Ganges, Danube, and Rio de la Plata. On summer weekends, the drains were blocked, and the piazza was flooded knee-deep to create a shallow lake. Carriages of nobles splashed through the water while spectators lined the edges, cheering and drinking. Street performers juggled, musicians played, and vendors hawked fried pastries. The air smells of sweat, horse, and frying oil. But tensions ran high. Rival families competed to display the most lavish carriages, and insults led to duels later. Petty thieves worked the distracted crowds, and the stagnant water bred mosquitoes, spreading malaria. Piazza Navona mattered because it was a stage for papal power and aristocratic display, a place where the city's hierarchies were performed in public. By the 1800s, the flooding tradition ended due to hygiene concerns, and the piazza was paved over. Today, Piazza Navona remains one of Rome's most beautiful squares, lined with cafes, still centered on Bernini's masterpiece. This view shows the Castel Sant'Angelo and the Ponte Sant'Angelo in the early 1700s. By 1700, the Castel Sant'Angelo had served as a mausoleum, fortress, prison, and papal residence over its 1,600-year history. This view shows the massive cylindrical structure looming over the Tiber, the bronze statue of the Archangel Michael shining atop the battlements. The Ponte Sant'Angelo leads toward it, lined with Bernini's angels holding symbols of the Passion. Each statue gestures dramatically as if frozen mid-movement. In the foreground, pilgrims cross the bridge toward St. Peter's Beyond, while guards in papal livery watch from the castle gates. The smell of the river below mixes with incense carried on the wind from nearby churches, but danger shadowed this place. The Castel Sant'Angelo housed the papal prisons, and screams sometimes echoed from the cells below. Public executions were carried out on the bridge, and the heads of executed criminals were displayed on spikes as warnings. This fortress mattered because it was the Pope's last refuge in times of siege, connected to the Vatican by a secret passage, and it symbolized the dual nature of papal power, spiritual and temporal, merciful and ruthless. By the late 1700s, the bridge was widened to ease congestion. Today, the Castel Sant'Angelo is a museum, and the Ponte Sant'Angelo remains one of Rome's most romantic walks. Standing here, reconstructing these scenes, the 1700s don't feel distant at all. The stones are the same, the light falls the same way, and if you close your eyes in the right places, you can almost hear the vendors calling, the water splashing, the bells ringing. Rome in the 1700s was a city layered with time, where every street corner told a story of triumph and tragedy, where beauty and brutality walked hand in hand. If there's another city, another moment, another scene from the past you'd like to see reconstructed, let me know in the comments. Again, thank you so much.